Welcome learners. The block titled Tribals of Central India consists of 4 units. Major tribal groups that are found in the 9 states of Central India have been discussed in this block, namely Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Jharkhand and Orissa, Goa and Maharashtra, and Bihar and West Bengal.
Unit 1 is about the tribes of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh.
The unit not only describes the tribal areas and major tribes in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, but also talks about the origin of the tribes in the 2 states. It also provides information regarding the economic, social, and cultural aspects of the tribes of the region and highlighting the distinctive features of different tribes of the region, and at the same time talking about the present status of the tribes of the region.
After going through this video, you should be able to describe the tribal areas of MP and Chhattisgarh, trace the origin of the tribes.
Well said. Adivasis, Vanvasis, Aboriginals, Primitives, Animis and Girijans are the different names given to the tribal people. After the Constitution of India listed them in a schedule, now they are commonly referred to as the scheduled tribes. The word tribe conjures up an image in the minds of the common people of simple folk living in hills and forests, famous for their dances and songs, animists in their beliefs, following a traditional and backward way of life, and in general resistant to change or fearful of adopting the modern way of life. This description is based on the fact that although 414 main tribes are listed in the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes lists, each with its own cultural identity, common threads of their lives make them a homogeneous group and starkly different from the non-tribal world. Regional dissimilarities may occur among the same tribes who are inhabitants of different areas. For example, the Bhils of Madhya Pradesh have practices which are different from those of Bhils of Rajasthan. Regional similarities also do occur between different tribes of the same area. This unit attempts to give a description of the dominant tribes of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, their common features as well as distinctive practices of some predominant tribes.
Descriptions of the tribal areas of major tribes in MP and Chhattisgarh.
The central zone that includes the areas of Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh has been the abode of the tribes or the aborigines since many decades. The tribal groups of the central zone are scattered all over the mountain belt between the rivers Narmada and Godavari. Madhya Pradesh, hereafter we will mention it as MP, holds the distinction of being the most populous tribal state since independence. The undivided MP consisted of states of Madhya Bharat, Vindhya Pradesh and Bhopal. On 1st November 2000, the 26th state of Chhattisgarh was carved out from MP. Now MP is made up of 50 districts grouped onto 10 divisions, whereas Chhattisgarh has 16 districts with Raipur as its capital. Chhattisgarh is considered as a predominantly tribal state, with 31.8% of its population comprising scheduled tribes according to the statistics of 2001 census report. Madhya Pradesh undivided had about 43 scheduled tribes. Out of these, 7 tribes are most backward and are identified as primitive tribes based on their pre-agricultural level of technology, low level of literacy and stagnant or diminishing population. These primitive tribes are Saharias of Chambal division, Barinas of Patalkot, Baigas of Baigachak area, Hill Korbas and Birhors of Sarguja, Kamars of Raipur and Abujmarias of Bastar.
Tribal areas and major tribes of MP as per 2011 census.
The ST population of the state of MP constitute 21.08% of the total population of the state. The state has a total of 43 scheduled tribes which are overwhelmingly rural with 93.6% residing in rural areas. At district levels, Jabua has the highest proportion of STs, followed by Barwani, Dindori and Mandla districts. Beend district, preceded by Morina and Datia, has the lowest proportion of STs.
A brief description of the tribal areas of MP.
About half of the tribal areas of MP are covered with forests, of which nearly half are on an altitude between 1000 to 2000 feet, 1/5 lies between 2000 to 3000 feet, and only 1/4 area is below 1000 feet. The terrain which the tribals usually cultivate is hilly and undulating. With the increasing pressure on land, undulating area and steep slopes have been brought under cultivation with consequent loss of fertility and soil erosion. In addition to this, no irrigation facilities are available. Agriculture is carried out under these conditions and circumstances. Sparseness of population, scanty and difficult communication makes it even more difficult to extend the benefits of the development programs to a majority of the tribals living in interior area. The major tribes found in MP, their size and distribution as per 2011 census are given in descending order according to their predominance in the table. Table number 1 reveals that out of 43 STs, Bhil is the most populous tribe, having a number constituting 39.13% of the total ST population. Gond is the second largest tribe with a population constituting 33.25%. 4 other STs in the descending order are Kol, Korku, Saharia and Baiga, which make for 19.1%. Along with Bhil and Gond, the 6 tribes constitute 91.48% of the total ST population of the state. Pradhan, Saur and Bariya Bhumia have a population of about 3.16% of the total. 4 tribes, namely Maji, Khairwar, Mawasi and Panika, having population about 2.1% of the total ST population. Remaining 30 along with the generic tribes constitute the residual 3.19% of the total ST population. Tribes having below 1000 population are 13 in number. Of them, 9 tribes, namely And, Birhul, Parja, Sonta, Majwal, Kalam, Kond, Kurku and Nagesia, each have less than 500 populations.
Tribal areas and major tribes of Chhattisgarh.
The tribal population of Chhattisgarh state accounts for 30.62% of the total population of the state. The state holds 8th position among all states and union territories in terms of the proportion of scheduled tribes population to the total population. It has 43 scheduled tribes with 94.7% of them residing in rural areas. At the district level, Dantewada has the highest percentage of scheduled tribes to the total population, followed by Bastar, Jashpur and Janjgir Champa.
A brief description of the tribal population of the state of Chhattisgarh.
Chhattisgarh, the name owes its origin to an explanation that it denotes the number of forts, that is 36 in the region. The demand for a separate state was first raised in the early 20s. Since then, such demands kept cropping up at regular intervals through various forums, rallies and movements. Finally, in 2000, with the acceptance of Uttarakhand and Jharkhand, the demand for Chhattisgarh too was accepted, leading to the birth of a new state. There were many factors which led to the demand for a new state, chief among them being a clear acceptance within and outside the regions of a distinctive socio-cultural identity evolved over centuries. A sense of relative deprivation also led the people to believe that a separate state was imperative for development to take place in the region. The state is richly endowed with natural resources. There are 16 rivers with Mahanadi and Tundla irrigating maximum areas of Raipur, Damtai, Durg, a rich, fertile red, yellow, black and laterite soil conducive to the growth of rice, which covers 82% of the area of Chhattisgarh, making it the rice bowl of India. 29 mineral resources besides tropical deciduous forests, which cover 43.85% of the total land. The table here represents the major tribes of state of Chhattisgarh, their size and distribution in descending order, with the predominant tribe at the top. Out of 43 tribes, Gond is the most populous tribe with a population constituting 54.94% of the total ST population. Four other STs in descending order are Kawar, Oran, Halba and Batra. Along with Gond, the 5 STs constitute 83.38% of the total ST population of the state. Bijwar, Korwa and Savar have a population ranging from 1,19,818 to 1,30,709. Together, they form 4.85%. 10 STs, namely Baria Bhumia, Nagesia, Baiga to Karia, having population in the range of 49,032 to 1,14,532, constitute another 4.69% of total ST population. Remaining 25 STs along with generic tribes constitute the balance 7.08% of total ST population. 11 tribes have population below 1,000. Of them, 5 tribes, namely Sond, Damor, Karku, And and Beel Mina, are very small, having population less than 100. At the district level, Gonds have registered their high population in Bastar, Dantewada, Kankar, Surguja and Raipur districts. Kawar are mainly concentrated in Surguja, Raigad and Korba districts. Other 3 major tribes, Oran, Halba and Batra, have the highest concentration in Jashpur, Durg and Bastar districts respectively.
Origin of the tribes of MP and Chhattisgarh.
Many anthropologists and experts are of the view that the tribal population of central and southwestern India are the original inhabitants of the country. This view has its origin in the theory that the whole of ancient India was inhabited by the tribal people, with that Indo-Aryans and other hordes of immigrants into the Indo-Gangetic basin were stronger in physique, numbers, organs and arms, and hence succeeded in imposing their will on the weaker groups, compelling the latter either to surrender, to complete absorption or to escape to the inaccessible areas in the vastness of the forests and mountains. This is the possible explanation for the biggest concentration of tribals in central and southwestern India. These people are truly Indian in the sense that racially they do not seem to be akin to people from other parts of the world. A similar view exists about the Gonds of Malwa in MP. The Malwa region is postulated to have been occupied by the predecessors of the Beels, Gonds and other tribes who had to confront the Aryans. The Aryans, who were stronger, pushed the tribal inhabitants to the south of the Vindhyas. The tribals of the Vindhyas gained control of Malwa after the decline of the Mughals in 1690. Puranic legends indicate that the inhabitants of the Vindhya mountains were born from the thigh of King Vena. Their appearance was described as dark as charcoal or as black as a crow with flattened faces. They were also described as being innately and hopelessly vicious because Nishada was so born that he bore away from the body of Vena all the sins for which that monarch had previously been notorious, and bequeathed them to his offspring, leaving his majesty free from all taints and ready for heaven. This and similar legends indicate that there was in central India an intensely dark race who must be the aborigines of this belt. From the above description, the aborigines of this area seem to belong to the Negritos stock. The Negritos were also considered by Dr. Hutton the Census Commissioner for 1931, as the earliest inhabitants of India. The Commissioner for SC and STs in his report for the year 1952 says that the tribals belong to one of the three stocks, Negritos, Australoids or Mongoloids. According to Dr. Hooton, the Proto-Australoids, Austro-Asiatic, the Dravidians and the Rigvedic Aryans or Indo-Aryans are all immigrant people who settled in India, with the Indo-Aryans being the last ones.
After listening to this video, you should be able to describe the tribal areas and major tribes in MP and Chhattisgarh, and also have an understanding about the origin of the tribes in two states.
Thank you.